Hello everyone, thanks for joining us on another episode of Crooked Mustache. This is our second gift ideas video. If you do see any of the tech related items here on the table, we covered that in another episode that I'll put a card to here or here. We're going to be covering a few more gift ideas for this upcoming Prime Day and the holiday season. Stay tuned. Alrighty, so I'm gonna come out of the gate with a strong one. If your man likes working in the garage, working with tools, working with anything, and you hate him having rough hands, get him a pair of gloves. I've noticed in various episodes, I've had various people comment on what happens when I take my gloves off, and that's because sometimes they get greasy, and I get to the point where it just depends. If your man is the kind of guy who's like, I won't wear gloves because I need to be able to feel whatever it is I'm working on, they do sell gloves with finger cutouts. Whether that means your fingers are still left after you use them, that's up to you, or up to your man, I guess. But I would definitely say that a decent pair of gloves or multiple sets of gloves, so that eventually when one wears out or if one becomes too dirty, you can easily switch and you can either toss them or wash them. That's one thing I've noticed, is that my wife really prefers that I have gloves on, because typically when I take them off and I go to walk back in the house, I'm not leaving handprints on the door because my hands are probably clean since I had the gloves on. So that I would definitely say, get him a pack of gloves if you can, and I'll put links in the video description below. Next thing I want to say, you'll notice that I did my best to light myself. I'm actually lighting myself with two work lights that happen to have good LEDs and a light on the camera. It's because if not, it's going to be very dark in here. So while we're on the subject of lighting, I'm also going to talk about flashlights and work lights, various stuff like that. I'm actually going to start with these. These are technically from Costco. I have found them on Amazon, and I want to link specifically to these and some other options in case you can't get a hold of them. The reason I like these is that aside from the flashlights, which I'll get into in a second, they are actually magnetic and they're quite strong. The cool part with this is that sometimes you can't actually hook this thing to anything, but maybe you can actually stick it to a part of the car you're working on or the project you're working on, and then you can use it as a light that way. So the other cool thing about this is this was a gift actually given to me by my sister-in-law, Jessica. Thanks a lot, sis. And I have used the hell out of this. I think I've gone through like 10 sets of batteries over the 2 years it's been since you've given it to me. That's two of the big tools on here, is a seatbelt cutter and a window breaker built into this flashlight. Now let's talk about the flashlight. The thing I like about this one is this one has an LED bar that is bright and dim. So on top of the LED bar, which goes full bright, dimmer, it also comes with a spotlight flashlight, which comes in really handy whenever, because it's a focused beam, sometimes the bar's light won't actually reach what you're trying to illuminate. You can actually use the pointed flashlight. And then the thing actually, and we have used it, it has a red light, which seems to catch people's attention at night a lot more than just a white light. And not only that, a flashing one. So if you're the kind of person who like goes for a walk at night and you want people to be able to see you so they don't run you over, you do have that. And we have used it as a safety light, kind of just sticking it on the trunk when we've had a car that had an issue and flat tire or something like that, just so people can see us, so I don't have to waste the battery on the car. Really cool item, really, really important. The other thing I would suggest is a work light. This one's from Husky, but I'll find a similar item here on Amazon and I'll leave a link to it. This one is also very bright. Actually, it's bright in. So this one only has one setting. The cool part is it says it's 1,000 lumens. I don't know. It is quite bright though. It's bright enough that during the hurricane, we were able to basically just turn it on, aim it at the ceiling, and it would illuminate the whole room very, very nicely. So tool related. So we've talked about flashlights, talked about work lights. So another thing I want to point out is ratcheting tools. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll talk about this. So one of the cool things about ratchets is the fact that you can go back and forth. I've had this particular one for years, and I'll show you now why I like it. If you see there, you can twist it. The cool thing with this one is that the handle is actually designed to rotate. So if you're ever working in a tight spot or a spot where you basically just have a lot of twisting to do to get that nut or bolt all the way in, instead of having to wrench the thing this much for every little turn, you can literally just twist the handle. And I won't even say it's gimmicky. It has honestly saved me a lot of time and a lot of frustration I love these tools. This one's from Stanley. I did find this one online. There are various other ones. I can personally tell you that the Stanley model does put up with abuse. I have literally hammered on this thing to break a nut or a bolt loose. So definitely can't say anything negative about it. Works both ways, and it has a button release for the socket. So that's pretty cool. Something that definitely is a tool I do not lend out. And so much like your woman, if you get this for your man, he's going to hold on to it very tightly. While we're on the subject of ratcheting, I want to talk about wrenches. So another thing to talk about is wrench. Now, there are standard wrenches, which are basically the open end with a box end on the other side. The cool part with these is that these ratchet, so that if you can't get a socket into the place, for example, I know this is a deep socket, but if you want to imagine, just there's the head of the wrench, or of the ratchet itself, there's the head of the wrench. If you picture that's where the nut is, this can actually get into a much tighter space. These are really cool. These come in shorties and long style. I got these in shorties specifically because I was just adding to the collection. The cool part with these is that there's no external mechanism to break. So you go one way to tighten, you go the other way to loosen. From the camera's perspective, that was probably backwards, but these are really cool. Another way to look at these that's even cooler is these. So the cool thing with these is that these do exactly the same function, but in the event that whatever you're working on is obstructed and you can't move the wrench here, but you can move it here, you can actually, and in some cases, you can actually do it that way. So it's pretty cool. These in combination with these ratcheting wrenches, these and the ones that were straight are one specific size, and they go, sorry, let me put that down. So these are one specific size. You turn it whether you want to tighten or loosen. These are good. If you want to have fewer tools total, but still have multiple, these are from Gear Wrench. I cannot say enough good things about them. I will show you, these are old. When I say old, I mean I've had them for a long period of time. The cool part with these is that these are 4 sizes in one tool. And what actually you have is this little finger flick. That is what actually changes whether it's tightening or loosening for the given size. In this case, it's 16, 17, and there's 19 and 18. And on this one, it's 12 and 13, 8 and 10. Same thing. The cool part with this is that you get four tools in one. And I know that in this case, they have had the little flicks broken off on one side. I have used these things for torque. I have put a pipe over one end to give myself extra torque. These things have put up with a ton of punishment, and this thing never leaves my side. I use it on everything because 8, 10, 12, and 13 are the most common sizes for automotive projects, and look, they're all right on here. I'll put links in the description for these. Another wrench that I can highly recommend. So if you notice, these are flat. In the event that what you're working on, so let's say that this is something that you need to, that is as close as you can get your wrench, and the nut or bolt that you need to get to is here. Obviously, you can't get the wrench any higher. That's where these offset wrenches come in. Because if you're limited by something here, and the bolt is higher than the wrench can go, this can get to it. We actually use these in the process of doing a power steering hose replacement on our Audi A4, which had a really, really inaccessible nut to get the hose off. These tools were pretty much the only reason we were able to get the job done. It's a pretty good video if you want to see how frustrating it is to own an Audi. Definitely love them. So all of these wrenches and the sockets will come in what's called SAE and Metric. Metric is the ones that end in mm, so 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, so on. And then SAE are the ones that are typically like a quarter, 3/8, ½ inch, those kind of things. Typically, you want to get the SAE. If you own an American car, you want to get the SAEs. If you own an import, you want to get the Metrics. Sometimes you can interchange them a lot. I've noticed that it's good to have varying sets of both. So start with that. But definitely a set of these, especially if I'm working on a car. These were actually purchased for me by my wife, which is pretty awesome. Put a link in the description for these. So these are 2 models of screwdriver, each with their own little gimmick. And I say gimmick, but it's it's nice to have tools. This one has a built-in extension. That's pretty much it. That's what I liked about it. The thing is that the real cool part was that literally you don't have to have, this is the first piece I've noticed that everyone loses when they have an extension. They put it in, then they put their bit in, they take the bit out, they take the extension out, they put the bit back in, and they lose the extension. This has its extension built right in, and of course it goes tighten, loosen, and then it hides away. That's pretty cool. The other thing is this type of screwdriver, also a ratcheting screwdriver. The cool thing with this one is that they actually call it the FatMax. They actually do call it the FatMax, and the reason that it's got such a chunky handle, aside from having a good grip, is it actually hides its bits in the bottom. Something nice if you want, if you don't mind having, what's the word I can put of, oh, and then also this one has a chuck so that your bit doesn't come out. The thing I liked about having this one is I'm able to keep a screwdriver in the house that's not as dirty potentially as the screwdrivers that I have in the garage. So if my wife needs something, if one of the kids needs it, they can grab this, and it's not as dirty. It is used, but it's not as dirty. So it's pretty cool. So that's in terms of ratcheting tools. In terms of life-saving tools, this thing, what you see before you is a magnet. So basically, this thing is cool. You really hope you never need it. The reason is there's a big magnet on the end. It's a telescoping arm, and basically all of this is, it's just a way to pick up something that fell out of place. Maybe a screw fell in between two pieces of something that you can't get to. Maybe a screw fell all the way through the bottom of the car into a spot that you can't fit your hand into, but this will, and you can retrieve it in seconds rather than hours. Another thing we want to talk about is magnetic plates. There we go. Doesn't come out. Cool part with these, they're not the strongest magnets. The cool part with these is that not only are they magnetic to the parts that you put in them, but the bases themselves are also magnetic. I mean, now there's screws in there that's what they're holding on to. If you're working on something where you need to keep little metallic parts together, it's really something nice to have. It's more of a quality of, that's what I was thinking of that word for the other video, quality of life. This is a quality of life part. That's what it is. So now that we've talked all about wrenching, let's talk about washing. One of the things that I would definitely recommend, everybody needs to have once. And ever since I started using it in my neighborhood, apparently I was the first person to have one. Now all my neighbors want one. Foam cannons. No, actually, if you've ever been the person that likes to, now these are marketed, especially if you go through the ones from chemical guys. These are marketed for car washes, and let me tell you, you cannot get as much foam on a car as you can with a foam cannon. You're pretty much shooting liquid soap. When I say liquid soap, I mean like the suds. It is awesome. Literally, wet the car down, soap it down, wash it with your brush, with your hand mitten, whatever. Rinse it off. Boom, you're done. Need to wash your house? Here you go. Need to spray down your driveway with chemicals to clean it? Here you go. This thing is awesome. It literally, and basically the nozzle goes from two settings, which is extreme fan to sniper mode. Really, really cool, especially when you pair this thing with, and I'm going to put it on screen because I actually don't have it like loose to show you guys, especially when you pair it with an electric pressure washer. I know that there's gas pressure washers that are more powerful. That are more powerful, but we're not talking about commercial grade here. We're talking about something you're going to use around the house. For day-to-day use around the house, washing the car, clearing the driveway, it is awesome. The best part about it is quiet. Yes, it does make noise. It's got an electric motor, but it is so much quieter than having a gas-powered machine running in the background. Happy hunting for Amazon Prime Day, or if you're watching this at another part of the year and you're looking for that last-minute gift, I hope I helped you guys find something on your shopping list. If not, I still thank you for watching all the way to the end of my video. Go ahead and hit that like button if you liked my video. Subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming content, and hit the notification bell so you're notified when we post a video. For Crooked Mustache, I am Alfred. Once again, thank you for watching. Dale. We'll see you guys next time.